I think it's just as many reps as we can steal, so we kind of cater the meters towards him and Josh Dobbs and Ben Woldridge. So we're trying to cater everything to those three guys to make sure they're learning it pretty well.
Are you guys still using virtual reality this year?
We try to use all the tools available to us: virtual reality, walkthrough rooms, practice reps, coming out here, extra walkthrough. So everything we can do to get them going.
So if you were asked this already, but I know that you're kind of learning what Josh McDaniels
bridge the gap, and I kind of learned it. When I got here, and then when Drake got here, it was kind of me giving him advice like, hey, this has helped me a little bit, so I think this can help you. And so that part has been pretty neat. But again, it's just going through it, stealing repetitions, and as many reps as we can get them is what we're trying to do.
What does he do? Last one for me. What does Drake do really well? What do you like in the days you've seen him here and in the meeting room and film? Like, what assets are you building around in his game?
I think he does a good job of taking the meeting room to the field. So every day we come out here with different types of emphasis and what we want him to work on, and every day he's really try to, attack those things and be intentional about his, his progression in the offense. So I think he does that super well, and then the physical gifts, I think you guys also do.
Josh has been saying that this time of year, mistakes can kind of be a good thing because you can learn from them. Do you feel like Drake has embraced that, or do you still feel like he's in a sort of perfectionist?
No, I think he's definitely embraced it, and this is the time of year, again, with, no repercussions to the mistakes, for us to kind of figure out what we do very well, what we might need to work on a little bit, try to fit in throws that we might not necessarily do on a Sunday. So we're kind of trying to push ourselves to the limit just to see what we can and can't do.
Josh was talking about how he's going to be running some plays that he's never run before. How much of a voice do you feel like you and the other assistants have in shaping and forming the offense?
I think it's been very collaborative, and that's kudos to Josh because he's had a ton of success in his past, and he's been very open, to new schemes and new systems and new techniques. So I think it's going to be fun, and he's been super open to that.
So, one thing with Ben Woldridge, I noticed
say it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's the same with you. So, how do you find the right time to give him the feedback that he needs? Let Josh or Mike take the lead on that? What's that like for you?
I think with the three of us, we're always in constant communication, me, Coach Vrabel, and Josh. So it's all the same streamlined message moving forward. We try to make sure we're all in lockstep talking to him, but it's a very natural communication. Sometimes it's Josh giving the coaching point, sometimes it's myself, sometimes it's Coach Vrabel, but we're all on the same page.
Sweet.
Ash, what's that process like? Even though you're familiar with the area, you were in Cleveland for quite some time.
Yep.
You're coming in, you have a job to do, but you're trying to earn certain trust, whether it be with the coaches, whether it be with the players. What's that process been like for you?
It's just putting your head down and working and knowing that what you do is going to come to the light at the end of the day. So I don't try to be anybody I'm not. I just come in, I go to work super hard, and I try to show those guys better than I can tell them.
And I mean, just thinking about how young you were when you got in, and people might look at your age, but obviously your resume is very impressive.
Yeah.
What are some of the biggest things that you think have helped you be able to get to this point, to be able to work with a guy like Josh and obviously Drake?
I think it's about the people who have poured into me since I got into Cleveland and really the NFL. Guys like Kevin Stefanski, Stump Mitchell, Chad O'Shea, who was here for a long time. Deuce Staley. I can list a number of guys who have helped me. T.C. McCartney was here last year. Alex Van Pelt. All those guys have been super intentional and grooming me, I would say. And I just try to take everything they say and kind of, develop that into my game and put my own little flavor on it. And now working with Josh has been awesome, trying to, get what he's coaching and trying to add that to my repertoire.
Drake did speak favorably about AVP system, and so I guess it makes sense that you being here, bringing some of the same things that creates familiarity, right? I mean, I know the league, there are only so many plays you can run, but I'm sure that helps, right? To have a coaching background in the same tree, so to speak.
Yeah, I think so, and a lot of it is study too. We went back and watched a lot of Drake, so Josh was very in tune to what Drake did well last year. So it's a little bit of me having that background, and it's a little bit of Josh doing his homework as well.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've been asked this, but I got to hear later. Just your assessment on where Drake is in his time getting acclimated.
Yeah, I think Drake's doing a hell of a job with just a change from one offense to a new offense. He's been a pro's pro. He'd come in here every day ready to work. He puts his best foot forward, and he's been super intentional with everything that we've asked him to do. So I couldn't be happier with where he is right now.
All good? Thank you.
Awesome.
Appreciate you.
I don't go in there thinking to myself, I have to be this or that. I just try to be who I am. I try to correct. I try to make it a teaching environment. I try to get people better. However that comes across, I can't assess that.
Is there anything off the field about Will that you've learned that stands out to you?
I think the work and the dedication. I think everyone that comes here, and it's been the same with everyone in the group. I don't think you can just show up and put in your time here, and then when you leave, not think about it at all. And I think a lot of the players, I've been happy with everyone. Once they're taking what we're doing here and they're spending some time looking at it, and then when they come back, they're ready to go. So I think you have to approach the game that way.
Thanks, Doug.
All right, great. Appreciate it. Thank you. Yep. To be this or that. I just try to be who I am. I try to correct. I try to make it a teaching environment. I try to get people better. However that comes across, I can't assess that.
Still a very athletic.
Hold everybody to the same fairness as far as the rules go, but as far as understanding how guys receive information and communicate the best with them, bring the best out of them is the overall goal as a coach and as a leader.
And have you ever had to switch up your teaching style? Like some guys are visual learners, some guys just...
Yeah, I mean, it's my job, again, to figure out how to deliver information to make it the most effective. Like, what I know is really irrelevant compared to what the players know, because I'm not playing, they're playing. So whatever it takes, whether it be more getting up and moving around and having more walkthroughs from an individual group standpoint, on the board and drawing things up versus building different teach tape examples. Whatever it takes, I'm always able to adapt and adjust to whatever players I have in the room.
We saw Jack Westover get a lot of opportunities last week. Brooklyn wasn't here. What has he done to earn those opportunities?
I think being consistent. I think as far as having versatility, that can play a wide tight end position, can be off the ball and play the F position, but also give us some flexibility playing the actual fullback spot. And so I think the more you can do, the more you can digest from a knowledge standpoint, gives you a chance to be on the grass more. And if we give you more opportunities to continue to maximize upon it, we'll kind of feed you more reps as well.
How important is the fullback in the system? What does it take to be able to fit that role?
Those guys are hard to find, man. I think it's kind of a last of a dying breed. A different mentality when it comes to how guys are built and wired. To be physical, to kind of stick your face in the fan. But I think as far as being able to force guys' hands from a personnel standpoint, matchup-wise, this is a matchup-based league. So whether it be them trying to match nickel to 11, when you're in 21, you can run some versatile things from an offensive standpoint. You can force guys' hands to, where they're going to play base and play man-to-man coverage, play in sub and play zone defense, kind of be able to give yourself a chance to have the chalk lines if you will.
Sorry, I'm late to the party here, so I apologize if you've been asked already. But Josh was just talking earlier about how you guys are incorporating some plays that he's really not all that familiar with running in the past himself.
Well, most of us are.
How do those get introduced? Like, are you guys sitting in a big room and say, "Hey, what about this, Josh?" And he just will throw it right into a meeting or a practice setting. Like, how do those ideas sort of percolate for this staff?
Yeah, I think it's been an ongoing conversation. I think at the beginning, it's important to listen before you communicate. So when I first got here, I wanted to digest as much as I could of the offense in the past, kind of where Josh has built it from a philosophical standpoint, how we communicate language-wise, and then be able to translate that into future ideas. And he gave us a couple opportunities throughout the offseason before our players got here to say, build a couple cut-ups of things you do want to kind of incorporate. So we go through and I have some runs, some run actions, some drop back pass game, and it's been an evolving fluid process.
How do you know when to make that leap?
As
for you, in terms of suggesting maybe suggesting and something new?
I mean, I'm a pretty open and honest, kind of direct type of guy, but I think, again, he's done a great job of, first and foremost, communicating what we're kind of expecting as far as an overall development of our staff and our players as well, but giving us a window of time to be able to incorporate ideas as well.
Going back to the fullback question, what do you see from Brock Lampy so far, and what do you think his role could potentially be?
Yeah, again, I mean, he's was a very physical player in college, was obviously versatile, moved around a bunch, carried the ball at times, but from a leverage standpoint, being able to come out of his hips to be aggressive at the point of contact, which we won't kind of find out fully until we get into the fall, so which I'm excited about that when that time comes. But he's been progressing along well, learning the offense, and I try to force the entire group to learn every single spot. But he's going to be more so focused around the fullback position, but he's been doing well so far.
At fullback, you sometimes see guys converted from defensive line, offensive line. Like, is that just because there's not that many fullbacks in college right now, or does it just take a different mentality to play that position?
I think it's a mix of both. I think there's very few teams you're going to find in college that actually play with a fullback. There's very few NFL teams that actually play with a fullback. So one, they're kind of harder to find. I would say in large, they're probably your third, fourth string linebacker. They're undersized defensive tackle. And they definitely have to have a certain mentality, because there's no fair dodging when it comes to certain specific players who play in the fullback position. So they got to have the physical traits to do it, but also the mentality to be able to be wired to be a physical player.
We have seen some tight ends, out here, again, no pads on, kind of aligning in that way.
Yeah.
How important will those first few days of pads and training camp be to kind of get to that mentality with guys and understand whether or not they have that to play that spot.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to some with the entire group about the knowing-doing gap, right? So knowing how to do something and being able to do it is two different things. And so we're going through the process now of mastering the information, those details, how to line up, how to play full speed. But when we actually put the full pads on at some point, you'll find out more about guys as far as from a physicality standpoint.
He takes pride.
Everybody good?
Thanks so much for your time.
Nice to meet you. He threw it just like anybody else that's coming off of kind of that type of layoff. And so he's working through that conditioning part of it with the strength staff and the training staff, and he's working his way back in. So excited to work with him. Glad he's here.
Mike and Elliott told us, entering round 2, there was some debate on who the team was going to select, and they just said it was a really good conversation. When it ends up happening, when they end up taking Travion, just, how excited are you, about the pick, especially considering they told, basically, I think it was against another player. They were debating 2 players, and obviously they settled on Travion, but just as that's sort of going down, and it happens, how excited are you about,
It's exciting because we as assistant coaches, you evaluate the guys that they give you to evaluate, and you have an opinion on them. And at the end of the day, we're gonna coach whoever they put in our room. But certainly, he was a guy that had done some really good things in college, and he fits some of the needs that we felt like we could address in our running back situation. And so I was very excited about it. I tried to recruit him back in high school.
Oh, really?
Years ago when I was at West Virginia, and he snubbed me. But so it was good. It was good to be able to reconnect with him, and obviously I'm very excited about him and what he may be able to do to help us going forward.
So what did you like about him? Or even like in high school or even through the pre-draft process? What sort of stuck out?
First and foremost, he's a great human being. He's a great person, great kid. And then obviously the physical attributes. He's certainly fast, so he brings a speed element to our team. That obviously, anytime you can get a guy that's as fast as he is, it is beneficial for the whole offensive unit and special teams. And then he obviously caught the ball well out of the backfield. He did a really good job, I thought, in pass protection. And then, in my time that I got to spend with him, he seemed to pick up concepts fairly quickly. So those things, with all those things, you feel like you're getting a good prospect, and we'll have to see how it materializes from there. Being tackled only 4 or 5 times as opposed to where you are being hit every play or you're protecting and pass protection every play.
Excited were you that you guys were able to get him, and how has it been working with him for a few weeks here?
If you had asked me, I would have had to hide my enthusiasm. I'm a big fan of Kyle's, and it's been great to have him here. He's working his tail off, and like any rookie, there's going to be some ups and downs along the road, but he's working his tail off, and he's fun to have around.
What did you like about him in the pre-draft process?
I really enjoyed his top 30 visit. That's where we kind of built a connection, and I kind of found out how he learns and how he processes new information. And, we spent some time together in the meeting room and got to eat a meal together, and really kind of break down more than just a quick Zoom with the draft prospect. And he's one of those guys that has an infectious energy to him. Obviously on the tape, there's plenty to like, physical attributes, things that, I think will benefit him in this system. But, just a great kid to add in there.
Have you felt about the young guy's ability to kind of pick up the playbook? This playbook's notorious for all the things guys receivers do post snap. So how do you feel they've adjusted to that?
The young group, their work ethic has been great. And it's been fun to watch them put in the extra time. And, they'll text me questions at night or text Riley Larkin, who's helping out with us, a question or ask for a drawing or an example, whatever. And it's been neat to see them really sink their teeth into it and attack the opportunity. So I hope that continues and it'll pay dividends, as we finish up here in the offseason and training.
Todd, Josh was talking about how he's learning stuff from you guys, and some of the stuff I already really like, some of the stuff I'm trying to, as he said, get around the bend on. Sort of the same boat with his stuff and trying to learn his stuff and what you feel like works for your group and what doesn't?
First of all, pretty humbling and awesome that Josh would be interested in what concepts that Thomas or Tony or myself would want to bring to the table. He's had a successful system, and he has no reason other than trusting us and believing in us to want to hear what we have to say. And so that's been quite an honor to do that collectively. In terms of learning his system, I'm sure all along the way there are going to be things that I need clarification on or something that I haven't done that way before. And he's got about a 20-year catalog of clips he can show me to do it. So those are helpful when I need to get something cleaned up.
Todd, a little late to the party. I'm sure you've already been asked. I'm just talking. Kyle Williams, the arc of his improvement and understanding what he's supposed to be able to do. Where is it right now?
Yeah, I think every rookie is going to have a little ebb and flow. As you put some new install in, maybe it slows down your play speed a little bit. You got to kind of make a new mistake, and that's a key with Kyle right now. He hasn't been an error repeater. He might mess something up, but he comes back and he fixes it and he works hard to move on to the next mistake. And I think that's going to be part of his process the whole way through. Really pleased with the work ethic he's shown, and I expect him to continue to develop in a set.
Chase that with a
Welcome us all and all of our ideas as well.
Do you have to make flashcards at night and stuff like that?
I did some of that early. Part of that's prepping for the players too. Wanting to create resources for them. To make the resources, you have to spend the time to put it together. So yeah, there's definitely an aspect of that.
Well, what is the biggest challenge going from one system to another, I guess?
I think there are challenges throughout, and challenges sometimes can be misconstrued as a bad thing. I think challenges are good because it gets you outside your comfort zone. So it might be the way we do something in the run game and ask our receivers to block. It's different than I'm used to, or it may be something that's a route adjustment that I'm used to calling it this, and we're calling it something different. But we're all on the same page as a staff, and we work very, very hard to try to make sure that we're one voice and a solidified answer as we get to the players.
When it comes to that kind of stuff, route adjustments, things like that, in the past, I think with Josh's offense, a lot of it's made about how complex it is. Do you feel that it's all complex, more complex than other systems you've worked in?
I think every system has something that you could consider complex, whether it's a lot more verbiage in the traditional West Coast systems or, route adjustments in this system. There's going to be a challenge and something that you have to get used to with every single system. So I don't see this as any more complex than other systems I've been around. You just need to focus your attention, in different areas.
Stephon Diggs has been in and out throughout voluntary portions here. Are you getting the feedback that he's doing everything he's supposed to be doing in terms of a football standpoint?
Yeah, I stay in contact with Stephon, and I have a bit of a history with him going back to our time together in Minnesota, and so I can usually get a pretty good gauge if he understands what we're trying to get done, or what I might need to spend a little extra time on with him. So I believe he's working hard. All right. Thanks so much.
Appreciate it.